Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good.
Welcome everyone to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. It is going to be an awesome show tonight. We should be being joined here momentarily by Raelian Chief Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul of Israel's Raelian movement. So hopefully we get him in here pretty soon. Seems he may be running a little bit late. But as we go ahead and get ready to jump into this show, let me go ahead and take a look and see who has come in first tonight. Looks like we have Race Fan coming in with the gold tonight. We have Mothman with the silver, and then we have Kitty Catty Whack with the bronze. Definitely appreciate you guys coming on in bright and early and getting your medal placements. As we go ahead and take a look in the crowd here, looks like we had Mothman, as we said earlier, also Race Fan. Good evening, Rob. Kitty Catty Whack. Hi, Rob. Hoping everybody had a wonderful weekend. Same to you, Kitty Catty Whack. Thanks for coming in. Robert F. Lamont Jr. Hello from Connecticut. Hey, Robert Lamont. Thanks for coming. JSCO77. Appreciate you showing on up. Also, we have Roger Murray. Give it a shout out to Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul. Hello. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in, Roger Murray. Let's see. We have UFO Tim James. Evening, everyone. Right back to you, Tim James. Thanks for coming on in this evening. Should be an awesome show. Joey Glowy, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up. Eternity Eternal, I see you out there. Thanks for coming on in. And let's see. Gory Tiger, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up. Search and Destroy. Sup, Space Nerds. Thanks for coming in. Let's see. Hey, yo, you got aliens. Thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you showing up to the show tonight. Let's see. Said Search and Destroy as well. Corruption Czar Network. Thanks for coming in from Tampa, Florida. Let's see. Cielo Azul. Thank you for showing on up. JMJ12. Frankie B. Thanks for coming in. Troy Dudley. I see you. Thanks for coming in. Carl Bittner. Fly Eagles Fly. Hey. Hi there, Rob. Hey, Carl Bittner. Thanks for coming in. And let's go ahead and get ready to start the podcast side of this here. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. As we go ahead and get ready to jump into a great show today, we do have Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul stepping in, representing the Raelian movement from Israel. Would definitely be glad to go ahead and take a look and see what we can find out about that today. It's new to me, and I've been researching it a little bit. So we'll get into a great conversation. And here we go, getting ready to start the show. Let's go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we'll be coming to our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives for absolutely free. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio and at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefithal, and oh, so much more. Once again, we're going to have a fantastic show today. Our guest, Raelian Chief Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul of Israel's Raelian movement, will be joining us for hours 1 and 2. And then hour 3, we'll be jumping into some Steve Stockton Tales Untold missing person mysteries, as well as getting the after hours wrap up with the guy that we all know and love, Drew Banky. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into the show here. The Raelian movement, the global disclosure message, and let's bring on our guest of the evening here, Rabbi Chief Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul of Israel's Raelian movement. How are you today, sir?
Hello, Mr. Gear. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am really looking forward to hearing a lot about the Raelian movement. I've done some research on it and have some good questions. And I really want to start out, because I don't want to get right to business. I'd like to get to know a bit about you, and kind of, what led you up to the moment to where you transitioned into this Raelian movement.
Well, over 36 years ago, I found a book which I read, and let me start since the beginning. Since my young childhood, I have been raised as a Sephardic Jew in a traditional Jewish family. I have been a Jewish scholar and always had questions without getting the right answers. So at what time, I grew up at that time following religion and Jewish religion and Jewish tradition, but never got the right answers to my questions until one day in 1987, I found a book which I read, and it answered all the questions I had during my whole childhood. And, I have, as a Jewish scholar and knowing the Bible, the Tanakh, which is the original Bible, and other scripts, Hebrew scripts, I went all the way to dig into it and find out what was this message that was revealed by those who are called Elohim. And in the Hebrew Bible, they mistranslated the word Elohim, which is a plural, by God. So I find out in all my search, in all many verses from the Bible, from the Tanakh and our Jewish script, these Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization that came to Earth over 25,000 years ago and created all kinds of life on planet Earth. And this is what, I have been giving lectures almost worldwide, and especially in Israel, where I have lived for over 18 years. And without any doubt, without any mistakes, these Elohim are extraterrestrial civilization and not a single God. Of course, our ancestors were primitive. They couldn't understand what was the difference between people that were coming from the skies and, extraterrestrial, because they didn't know a clue either about science or about technology. And this is why I got involved in the Raelian movement, and I am the grand rabbi of the Raelian movement. And I started spreading this message and giving lectures worldwide, which, of course, is not easy, especially for Jewish people to not to understand it, but to accept it. But there is no doubt, without any problem, without any mistranslation, I have all the proofs that these Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization, that they come from another planet, that there are many, and not a single God.
Okay, very interesting. And being that you had studied the Hebrew Bible for so many years of your life, to have this moment where you discover this new book in the late 80s, and then you make this transition, how was that? Like, did you have to come to grips with certain things that you had learned previously in order to move forward with the new outlook?
Well, for me, it was easy and difficult at the same time, because coming from a religious traditional family on my father's side and on my mother's side, we have traditions, and we are like in the roots of these traditions, and it's very difficult to come out. But for me, it was not that difficult. The minute I read this book, from me, it was obvious, because it answered all the questions I had that no rabbi, no teacher, no member of my family could answer. So I found all these answers in this book. Then what I did as a Jew, to make sure it was something that makes sense and it was true, I took the original Hebrew Bible then. I took the Hebrew translation. I took a dictionary. I took another Bible with Hebrew and French translation, because at that time, before living in Israel, I wasn't speaking Hebrew. Then I started searching and searching and searching, and I came out with citations from the Bible, from other Jewish scripts, from other Hebrew scripts, very old scripts like the Zohar, the Tanakh, the Gemara, the many others, that there is no doubt, and that the Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization. And furthermore, the problem that I have with Jewish communities when I give lectures is that they try to avoid and take people away from our lectures because they are not able to prove the opposite. Because I bring citations from the Bible, which are very clear, and people who understand Hebrew can translate, and you see that these people are coming from the skies, that there is no single God. And the Tanakh, which is the original Hebrew Bible, in any way, nowhere it's written that there is a single God. The word Elohim in ancient Hebrew mean those who come from the skies.
So let me ask you this then, because obviously the outlook for most religions is that there is some sort of source or creator. So what takes the place of that then within the Raelian movement?
Well, in the Raelian movement, the message is as follows. There was a man in the center of France, which his name was Claude Vorillon. He was a journalist on Sport Car magazine. He has his own news magazine on sport cars. And one day he was driving to his office, like usually, because he used to live in the region of Clermont-Ferrand. And while he was driving to his office, he felt the desire of going elsewhere and climb an old volcano, which is called the Puy de la Sola, close to Clermont-Ferrand, in the mountains around there. And when he was up there, it was cold because he used to go there with his family during summertime for picnic. And then when he arrived there, and he felt cold, it was December 13, 1973. Then he told himself, what I'm doing here, I have work to do, and I need to go back to my office, and it's cold here. While he was leaving, he saw something in the skies. At the beginning, he thought it was an helicopter. Then there was no noise. It was a beam above and a beam under, below the craft. And then slowly it came down, and instead of landing, a ladder opened. Then he saw 2 feet come down the ladder. And he freaked out a little bit because he said, too bad I don't have a camera, or I don't going to move. Maybe they think I am a tree or something, and they're going to leave because, you don't know what you're expecting. Then a man that was about 1.30 meters, and at the beginning he thought it was a child, come out of this, approach him without any weapons. His face was shining, full of love, no aggressivity at all. And he came close to him. And this French journalist asked him, do you speak French? And the extraterrestrial replied, I speak all the languages on the world. Then he asked him, do you come here often? And then he replied again to him in French, oh, I come here many times. And today, I come to meet with you because your name is Claude Vorignon, you're married, you have 2 children, you're running a sport car magazine. And 2 weeks ago, we telepathically induced you to go and buy a Bible from La Pléiade, which is the only one translated in French that the word Elohim was not mistranslated as God. And today, we come to meet with you because we telepathically induce you to come here today. And I have a message for you. And I invite him to his craft. Then there were 2 chairs, two very comfortable. One was higher, where the extraterrestrial sit, and the other one was a little bit lower, where this man named Claude Vorillon sit on it. And then he gave him a message as follows. Over 20,000 years ago, we came to your planet and we start creating all life scientifically with genetic manipulations of DNA. Our name is Elohim, which means in ancient Hebrew, those who come from the skies. We came to this planet and we started creating all lives, starting by plants, animals, and then finally to create the man to our image, after our likeness, like as it's written in the Bible. We are the ones that send all prophets from all religions. Among the most important ones, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and many others that were sent in Israel they were over 40 prophets. And now that we have reached the time of revelation, which means apocalypse in Greek, which doesn't mean destruction, but it's translated as revelation. And since the Hiroshima bomb, that you can either auto-destruct yourself or progress with nuclear power, it's time that you will understand that we are not gods, that you stop believing and start understanding. So they give him 2 aims. First of all, they change his name to Rael, which is the root of the word Israel. And as you know, many Egyptians, the sun was Ra, and Ra means a light. So the name they give him, it's the light of the Elohim, their light on earth. They give him 2 aims. One, to spread this message worldwide. And the second one, it was to build them an embassy. It is to build them an embassy on earth to welcome them, that they can come with all prophets of all and give us their scientific heritage, which is over 25,000 years, before us,
Okay, that's awesome. And so what I wanted to look at is Rael, which is Charles
Claude Vorillon.
Claude Ariel. Okay, yes. So it appears just from hearing that, just to simplify it for some people out there, sounds like he had what would appear to be extraterrestrial contact. During that contact, he was introduced to who we're talking about here, Elohim, and they advised him of they essentially gave him a message. Now, what I would like to know, and I'm sure it'll clarify for some people, is it that the message is it pointing out that other religions are simply wrong about the things that they've written, or is it saying more so that maybe the things that were written were misinterpreted? What would how would you categorize that?
Exactly. What's written in the original Hebrew Bible, it have been misinterpreted by primitive people who didn't knew the difference between what was an extraterrestrial and what was a god. So everything coming from the skies was divine for them. When they saw something approaching and they say, well, Yahweh is not in the fire and is not like Ezekiel and is not in the noise and he is moving and he talked to me and I put my face on the floor and all that, it means these people were afraid, because how can you explain that these people that didn't have an idea what a bicycle was, how can they imagine they were people on other planets? They had no knowledge, they had no clue about it. And then, then the Christian religion came, and because Jesus was a Jew, he was a rabbi himself, and he brought exactly the same message that Rael is giving today. That Rael he brought is the same message Jesus brought, and he was disturbing the establishment and moving it was an earthquake for the Jewish religion that could have destroyed the monotheism that, most of religious people that are in control of power, they are, they hold in it. And for them, it's not only a business, but it's also matter of power. And then they sent other prophets, and these people made religions until today we are able to stop believing and trying to understand.
What do you find is one of the most difficult parts of the message that's being delivered? And when you're running up against traditional religion, what is one of the, I guess, toughest points to drive home when you're, because essentially you're trying to say this way wasn't the right way, it was supposed to be interpreted this way, and then you deliver the message. But what do you find is the most difficult thing that you run up against when you're doing this?
Well, the most difficult is that when you have rabbis that are invited and people from the Jewish communities that are invited to my lectures, and then they try to boycott and bring Jewish scholar children or students to block the entrance of any hotel, of any hall. And even in Israel, when I was in north of Israel, there was a time that I rented a hall to give a lecture. That was in Tiberia, which is a very religious place. Then the rabbis, we were distributing flyers to invite people to our lecture. They came out of the rabbinical office and took flyers from people that we were disturbing. Then they went to the hotel and they asked the director of the hotel to stop this lecture. Otherwise, they were going to remove his kosher certificate from the restaurant, and the hotel will not be able to function. Because as you know, Jewish people that goes to a hotel in Israel, everything must be kosher. It means according to the Jewish halakha, according to the Jewish studies of the Torah, what they should eat and what they shouldn't eat. And when a rabbinical that give you a certificate that your place is kosher, they remove this certificate from you, that's it, you're finished. You're not able to operate. So it means they were almost forcing the hotel to stop our lecture, to cancel our lecture. We took a lawyer, we did everything we could, but we couldn't succeed to give that lecture in that place. And many others that we had in Jerusalem and other places. It's not easy because people don't want to accept that it's written, and I can prove it without any doubt, without any mistake. There is no possibility that when you understand Hebrew and you see these citations, you cannot agree with what's written, because I'm not inventing any citation. They're written. They're written in the holiest books of Judaism.
You also write a lot of books. You have a lot of books that you offer for free. Where first of all can people find those books?
Well, first of all, if they go to rael.org, which you see on my screen, they can download these books for free in any language of their choice.
And we have actually, I had printed out a picture of one of the books that you sent over here, and that would be the message that comes from Beyond Stars. So I kind of want to talk about both things, just for people who are here in our radio audience. On the left, there's a picture of what is the Raelian symbol, and then next to it is the book, Intelligent Design, the message that comes from Beyond the Stars. What, if you wouldn't mind kind of diving into what this means? So, because a lot of people had the first time hearing about this movement, and if you wouldn't mind explaining what this book is about.
Well, this book is about the message that I give you is that these people that come from the skies, they are the one that created us to their image and likeness. This is the book that gives all the elements and all the proofs that now we're able to understand that the Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization, and that they came to Earth and they were thought as gods. This is the message, and they give you all the citations from Bible. They explain how they proceed with genetic manipulations of DNA. They explain you which are the prophets they have sent. All the miracles that were misinterpreted, it was just a time that, the people could not understand it. It was mostly difference between their time and our time. And these books explain exactly what this message is about and who these people are. In the planet where they live, they didn't give exact the position, and they were the ones that not only sent out the prophets, but they were the ones that were in contact with Abraham, with Isaac, with Jacob, with kings of Israel, with other, when they were destructions of the temple and all that. It was because of punishment, sorry, of the punishment that the Elohim have removed the protection upon Israel.
All right. And I'll have you hold right there, because we got about 20 seconds before we take our first break of the night. So we're going to get right back into this conversation with Rabbi Ariel Mellul and learn more about what the Raelian movement is all about. I have a lot of questions, and also the image that we see on the left, which is the symbol for the Raelian movement. We're going to talk about that and more right after this break. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We will be right back. All right, we are clear. Definitely want to thank everybody for coming on now. Who else did I miss? Bob Berkins, thanks for coming in. Cielo Azul, thank you for showing up tonight. Miss Catherine Jones, thank you for coming in. And I have tagged your message. Who else do we have coming in here? Magneticus Attractus, I see you there. Let's see, going back. Let's see. Hillbilly Herb, thanks for coming in. I see you. Decipher. And I have that question, so I'll tag that for you, Decipher. Thanks for coming in. Jessica S., thanks for showing up tonight. CS, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. FAP, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. And who else have we missed? Pancho Zork, I see you. Monica as well. Hey, Monica. Let's see. Who else have we missed? Fast Timmy. I see you out there. Thanks for coming in. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in. Susan Alloway. Blue Cruise. Thanks for showing up tonight. Let's see here. Egyptian Princess. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up. Pierre, thank you for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up. Yeah, similar to Reverend Michael Carter, who we will be having on the show here in maybe 2 weeks. I believe February 2nd is the date. So mark your calendars for that. And let's see. Bob Thorson, thank you for showing on up tonight. Troy Dudley. And I think we are caught up. Looks like we are. Yes, we are. Yeah, so Reverend, we didn't really get to, Reverend, Rabbi, we didn't get to really talk prior to the show, but just so you know, this is video and radio at the same time. So we take these 5-minute breaks every 30 minutes. This one is still on camera, so our audience still sees and hears us. The second break at the top of the hour will be off camera, and third break on camera. And then we'll have audience questions for the last 30 minutes of the interview. And yes, Mike Jones, let's see. I'll put that up. Thank you, Mike Jones. I got that for you. And let's see. Yeah, so how have you been, Rabbi? How have you been? I've been looking forward to this show, so I do appreciate you coming on in. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I had you muted there.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay. I thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you, and it's a little bit late for me, but that's okay because I'm an early bird, and I am on the Eastern time zone, so it's quite. But it's okay. It's a pleasure to be on your show and to answer any questions people may have from your audience.
Yeah, I think it's very important because I know there's definitely a positive message that the movement brings, and I definitely want to touch on all that as well. So let's see here. Eric J., hello. Thank you for coming in. Walter Kokubinski, thank you for coming in. And the Andromedan, I see you there. The Andromedan, thank you for coming in. Thanks for showing up. And we got about 1 minute left before we come on back from break. And what state are you in, Rabbi?
Oh, I am in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Canada.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, Dave Scott, who the conductor of the Wu Train here, he's from BC, British Columbia.
Oh, yeah, British Columbia.
Yeah, 100 Mile House. Some little small town out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Did you see my screen properly, or there is some blur moving?
It seems like the background is doing a little jitter, a little bit, like on your shoulder area, but
because I usually do it on Zoom and it's perfect for me. But my app, my Macintosh doesn't support the Safari, so I need to go to Firefox in order to be connected. So because it was not supported by on your show.
Okay, you're okay. Here we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming back here at Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Definitely going to be a great show today. We just had 30 minutes in with the Rabbi, and we're going to be talking the Raelian movement. Make sure you guys get your questions ready for hour number 2, but we will be asking those. Also, if you missed any of this so far, you already know. You can hop in the archives, youtube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. As we jump back into the conversation, Rabbi, the image, the symbol on the left, which appears to be, I guess, the Star of David. Is that correct? But it's different. And if you wouldn't mind kind of going and explaining this.
Well, let me explain. The original symbol is the one I have over here, and the one that you see on my screen, which is the Star of David with a swastika on it, and you can see it also on the screen behind me. This symbol represents infinitely large and infinitely small. The two triangles represent the infinity large, and the other one of the triangles is the infinity large, and the other one is infinity small. And in the middle, you have a swastika, which is infinity in time, that represent, first of all, the infinity, what that could be, we are living on a planet. This is to explain the infinitely large, that we are living on a planet. This planet is on a solar system. Our solar system is on a galaxy. Our galaxy is on a universe. And one atom of one molecule of this whole galaxy represent one atom of one molecule of something or someone that is alive. But it doesn't mean it's a god. It could be a cat or a worm or I don't know, but it's something alive. That's infinitely large. And when this giant being look at the space, also he's looking at the same sky we're looking at, and he's inside someone. Like if we go back to ourselves, to our level, one atom of one of our cells, it's a universe, an infinite universe, where they are solar system, planets, galaxies, and people that are alive. Now, their time is not like our time, and this is why what our symbol represent in the infinity of time. And it's shocking mostly to see a symbol like this with a swastika and the Star of David. And this is one of the controversies that we have for Jewish people as well, because they cannot accept, but this symbol is in Israel. It was it's in the museums, and it was in the north, in the south of Israel synagogue, close to En Gedi, where they found the scrolls of the Dead Sea. And this symbol is the oldest symbol on earth, and this is the symbol that it was on the jumpsuit, the Elohim, where they met with Rael. They had this symbol on their jumpsuit, and they have it certainly on their crafts as well, which represent harmony and peace, infinitely in love and peace. And the same symbol, the swastika, it's not people associated automatically with Hitler and Nazism, and they don't accept the Star of David will be mixed with this swastika. But the swastika, as you certainly know, it's a religious symbol in Asia. If you go to India, you have this symbol everywhere. If you go to Buddhist temples, you have it everywhere. So it was way, way before Nazism was and Hitler was. So, but people will not understand that. Oh, sometimes you explain, yeah, I know what the swastika is, and I know where it's coming from, but I had my relatives that died in a concentration camp, and so and so and so, and they cannot accept that this symbol will be mixed with Star of David. I mean, ignorance is ignorance. And we are not here just to have people believe. We want people to understand what is the message. This message is of the utmost important for humanity, because it's the only way that we can reach a golden age is by expressing our love, by caring and sharing with other people, instead of believing, understanding that we have all been created equal to their image and to their likeness, and that one day we are going to create life as well. And when the day someone in a laboratory is going to create another human being, and this is the reason most of governments are forbidding human cloning, that's a main reason, because the day someone in a laboratory, a man, is going to create another human being, either a man or a female, the mystery of God will be over, because there will be no more place between the man and the other man. There is no place. If God didn't create human beings, a man can create another human being, and we're reaching this technology nowadays. We are getting there.
Very controversial. That's definitely one of the things that I was going to bring up. And actually, I'm glad you spoke to the swastika part of this, because that is obviously an elephant in the room, and something that people had issues with. And just to point out to everyone out there that is why the symbol is now the symbol that we displayed here, right? That's why it was converted to this symbol, to kind of get away from the distraction, I guess, because really, if you think about it, if you're trying to deliver a message, then having to always explain why that is what it is kind of takes away from the message. Is that kind of why that was done?
Mr. Gay, I would like to explain the symbol that you're showing right now. It was changed by Rael himself with the authorization from the Elohim to change this symbol, because we always had problems with Jewish people, especially in Israel. And then we changed, which is exactly the same symbol. When you make this one rotate, it goes to that one. So it was less shocking for them to use it in Israel while I was there for 18 years. But that was the only reason. But our original symbol is this one. And this is the original symbol from the Elohim, not the other one. I know it's shocking for some people, when you understand history, when you understand where this is coming from, when you understand this is a religious people way before Nazism, there is no problem with that. I wear my symbol with a lot of pride.
Yes. Now, with that being said, the infinity part of this, because I've heard you speak about this, and I've heard you talk about the fact that we are ourselves. We could look at ourselves essentially as like atoms of a cell, right? I've heard you speak
exactly.
about. Would you mind kind of going into detail and explaining that to everyone?
Well, to explain, it's difficult to explain what infinity is. You can feel it. You cannot explain it. You can understand it. It's like, I remember as a child, I used to be at my grandmother and stand between two mirrors. And I was trying to look at myself where I was on one side and on the other. Then I couldn't find who was the first one and who was the last one. And this is exactly like infinity, because there is no beginning and no end. Infinity in Hebrew, the name infinity in Hebrew, the word, is Ein Sof, which means no end. If there is no end, there is no beginning. And this is what we should understand now, that we are part of this infinity. We are infinity ourselves. We are dust of stars. There is no way, before we were born, we were part of infinity already in the food our fathers ate. And now, when after we will die, this infinity will remain infinity, because we can breathe the dust of that there is around, and this is dust of everything that was around before, and this is infinity. And as I explained, the two triangles represent the infinity small and infinity large, which is very easy to understand, but it's very hard to explain. People need to feel infinity.
So let me ask you this, because you stated that the Elohim were mistaken as gods in other religions, and that there's a concept within the Raelian movement that there is no God. And
Absolutely.
so a lot of people look at source, and I'll kind of back up a little bit. And the reason, kind of leading into this, and you explained about Rael and the spiritual, I guess, engagement that Rael had with the Elohim. This kind of leans into consciousness. And so, when we generally talk about consciousness, we talk about consciousness as being this energy that essentially powers everything that we know, from end to end of the universe, right? This source power. So I think when you look at other religions, you have most religions at least agree on there being some sort of creator. So why would that be different, I would ask? And then who creates the Elohim?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. The Elohim were created by other Elohim, because life was always there. There was life in different forms. And this is the reason why there are so many different extraterrestrial civilizations. Not all of them look the same. Like when we're going to travel, be able to connect with other people from other civilizations, if we are lucky to reach a level of peace and harmony. Otherwise, we will not be able to contact them, because we will auto-destroy ourselves. This is the law of the universe. That day, we will find out that these people that live in different galaxies, in different universes, the universe is infinite. By being infinite, there was life in different forms, with no beginning and no end. And one day, as I mentioned, the Elohim have been created by other extraterrestrial civilization, and one day we're going to find a planet, and we're going to create life. What happened to the Elohim? Why they came to planet Earth first to create life? They started creating life on their planet. And one day, one of the people, or their creation, some of their creation escaped and killed and hurt many of them. Then their government decided not to allow them to create life anymore on their planet. But their science was so evolved, they were so good at it, and they were creating plants and all kinds of forms of life on their planets. So the government of their planet told them, you can go and find another planet and create life, but not over here. And this is why they forbid them to mention or to explain to Adam and Eve that they have been created by another extraterrestrial civilization. They made them believe that they were gods. This is all that comes from, because they didn't want them to know that they have been created by another extraterrestrial civilization at the beginning. Then there was a problem also, because at the time of the Tower of Babel, these people that had the knowledge, they did what was not a tower, it was a spaceship, to go and fight the Elohim. And this is what the Elohim wanted to avoid.
Okay, so let me ask you this: when I hear the basis, the bones of the relationship between the Raelian movement, and then the Elohim as far as certain aspects, as far as like genetic creation. It sounds very similar to like Sumerians and Anunnaki. Sounds very similar.
Exactly.
So do both coexist, or is it one or the other? Do both storylines exist? It coexist, I should say.
Of course, they can coexist because the Anunnaki were those who were on planet Earth because they revealed to their creations, to the people that they created, because they revealed the truth to them, they were punished to stay on planet Earth. And this is the ones that were the Anunnaki, that were probably the ones that were in Sumer, and they knew all the solar system and how was it working, because they had the plans of all the constellation. And as you know that, and even Zachariah Sitchin was a great developer of these Sumerian tablets, and he did an excellent job, because it comes to these people that after a while they are the ones that decided to build this spaceship and go to the planet of the Eternals, to either to be forgiven and stay there, or fight the Elohim if they wanted to, because they wanted to come back to their planet. And all that, you can have that. All the answers are on this intelligent design book that you can download for free and read it by yourself. And I mean, it's amazing. All the information you have there, it's very, very clear. And today we have the possibility, because we have reached the level of science and technology, to understand and stop believing. Because believing is, it's a belief. When we were born, someone who is born Muslim, he believes in, because his father is Muslim, he will go to mosque. A Jewish will go to synagogue. Christian will go to church, because we have been imposed a religion that we didn't choose. It was imposed by our parents, because of their parents imposed it to them, and we impose it to our children. This is what religions are. But when you reach a certain level of knowledge and you understand technology, what science is, what technology is, and you understand that this message that today, with all the science and technology we have, we are comparable to the Elohim, and soon we will be able to equal the Elohim with our technology and science.
And you say equal, and that was another thing that I kind of wanted to look at too, because there is I don't know if you want to call it a belief or but there's a thought process of equality about everything and everyone being equal across the universe, essentially, right? That there's no being above you or I. Is that correct in the way I'm saying that?
Yeah.
And could you explain that a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, sure. We have all been created equal. And the universe, listen, the minute we can understand that the closest people, when it says in the Bible, love your neighbor like your own, it's not only your neighbor, it's the people surrounding you, everyone in the planet, because we are one. Each one of us is a cell of this humongous body that is humanity. Humanity, it's composed by all of us. Humanity is composed by all of us on our planet. Now, there are other planets. There are other people out there. They're all beings, life. They're all, they don't maybe look humans like us, but they are humans as well. They have the different civilizations and different species are elsewhere in the universe. And if the universe is infinite, there are billions and billions and billions of solar system and of planets out there where there is life. We're not the only life on our universe. Some people still believe we're the only one that have been created by a God, but that's totally false. When you see the quantity of galaxies that there are on the universe, I mean, it's infinite. How can you figure out how big it is, how wide it is, how large it is? It's infinite.
Now, I agree with you on the aspect of not holding these extraterrestrial beings as high and mighty or deities or things that are above us or just because they're more advanced than we are.
Absolutely.
But I do want to ask, because in the way that you approach the infinite message, and with space being infinite as far as we know currently, does the message change any if somewhere down the line we find out that space is not infinite? Does it still work in the way that you've explained it then?
Absolutely. That's the way the Elohim explained to Rael, and it's written in the book that infinity, it's infinite. There is no limit in infinity. And the best word to explain infinity, it's in Hebrew, which means Ein Sof. There is no end. If there is no end, there is no beginning as well.
And if you could briefly, because we're actually coming up on another break here, we have about 2.5 minutes. So if you could kind of give like a short description, and we'll continue this in the next half, of the time of revelation that you talk about. I would like to, maybe have you approach that and kind of talk about what that means, because essentially the Elohim are supposed to return here to Earth. Because
absolutely,
I guess before we even jump into that, what is if we are supposedly created in their image, apparently, then what is the ultimate goal for us in accordance to them?
Well, we are a creation of life through universe, which means they have been created. They created an extraterrestrial civilization created the Elohim, who were created by others, and so and so and so and so. And this is a chain of creation of life through universe. So one day we have been here, and one day we're going to create another human being, and we're going to find another planet, and we're going to put them there, and they're going to believe also we are gods if we go there and they're primitives. And if we don't reveal them that we have created them scientifically, this is why religions came, and then it was a belief that everything that came from the skies was divine.
So it is almost like, the infinite part of this is almost like holding two mirrors, having two mirrors face each other, right? And it's just reflection of a reflection of a reflection all the way down the line infinitely. So I'd like to paint that picture that way. We have about 10 seconds left here before we go to break. So let's hold it right here. We'll put a button in it, and we'll continue this on the next hour here, hour number 2, right here in the After Hours Radio Show with our guest here, Raelian Chief Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul of Israel's Raelian Movement. I'm Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Conversations that move the needle. You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio. Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, Rabbi, we are going off camera for 5 minutes, so I'll see you in a few minutes here.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 2, with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are joined back by our guest here, Rabbi Ariel Mellul, and we have about 30 seconds left before we come back to radio. So let me go ahead and see if anyone has come in since the last time I checked here. Road Flare, I see you out there. Thanks for coming in. Warden Dragon as well. Thanks for coming in. I don't know if I actually said Cat's Tongue earlier, but Cat's Tongue, thank you for coming on in. We appreciate you showing up tonight. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We are having a fantastic conversation tonight with our guest here, Raelian Chief Rabbi Ariel Mellul of Israel's Raelian movement. You guys get your questions ready for the back half of this hour. Put them in caps so I can see them right here. If you missed any of the show so far, make sure you jump in our archives. Absolutely free. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. All right, Rabbi. So we were going to go into this at the end of the last hour, but let's start this hour off with it. You talk about a time of revelation and that the Elohim will return by the end of our generation, and then you pose a date range of 2025 to 2035. What's supposed to happen?
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, they give 2 aims to Rael. First of all, it was to spread this message worldwide, and the second one was to build an embassy, which is the third temple the Jewish people want to build to welcome Elohim. But for them, Elohim is still a God. And now, they will not be able to build this third temple because the first temple that Solomon built was to welcome the Elohim. Then the Elohim didn't come because he went into idolatry and all that. So they avoid coming. And the second temple that was built, exactly, it happened. They built the second temple, but it was mostly for religious purposes to replace the first one. But it was not for any purpose of welcoming the Elohim. But now, this embassy the Elohim want, it is a third temple where they want to come with all the prophets, as I mentioned, and give us their scientific heritage, which is over 25,000 years above our time.
So let me ask you this. So what happens, because I always talk about the moment that we, you know, have more than extraterrestrial contact, once we're able to, as humanity, sit down with these extraterrestrials and kind of pick their brain, if you will, to kind of advance our own knowledge to at least get to their level. And then I kind of thought about it. I was like, okay, well, once we've done that, we may find out that they actually aren't all knowing, and that they still have questions about what the reality that we live in as well. Is that because you don't look at the Elohim as gods in within the Raelian movement? Then is that a fair assumption to assume that they are no different from us as far as trying, wanting to figure out all the answers, and then not actually being able to do that, just on a continuous journey to get answers? Because if we're looking to them for answers, you would assume they're looking to the ones who created them in this case for answers as well.
Yes, well, you were talking about apocalypse, which means revelation. Then this revelation is after the Hiroshima bomb, they feel the need to send the last messenger to save humanity. Because as I mentioned, we can either auto-destruct ourselves or we can progress with nuclear power. Now, there is a law in the universe, according to the Elohim, and this is also in the book of the messages, they gave it to Rael, that we should reach a level of nonviolence, of love, which is in the entire universe. These are the laws of universe before you are able to communicate with other extraterrestrial civilization. If we don't reach that level, we will auto-destroy ourselves. With all the bombs, when you figure out all the thousands of bombs there are in all countries, or most of the countries, the most powerful ones, why are we doing these bombs for? To kill each other? Why? So many millions and billions that are spending weapons for what? And then when someone is starving and 25,000 people are dying, starving every day in Africa and elsewhere, what is this humanity today? Can we call ourselves or pretend to be humans today, the way we behave? Just greed, money, religions. One is killing another one because of his religion. Another one is stealing the other one because of his money. What is this population? What is this humanity? And if we don't reach that level, we will blow up our planet one and for all. And we're destroying the planet, destroying trees, destroying animals, destroying each other of us with many factors, or what's happening there. And we don't think about our neighbor. We don't care about each other. We have only one planet and we're destroying it. Where are we going? Where are we going? So in order to be able to reach another level, we need to understand that we are all one. It's like the same if we are all a humanity and each of us is a cell of this huge body that composes humanity. It's like I have the cell of my finger shooting at the cell of my eye. And this is what we are doing. What doesn't make sense, government send soldiers to kill other soldiers that they did nothing to them. I mean, they don't even know them. And they're shooting at each other. Why? Matter of money? Matter of producing weapons? Matter of conquer another country? What for?
And because
we are just here like renting, we are just visitors here. we are born, we have a certain time of living on planet Earth, then we will go away. That's it. So what's the use of this greed of fighting and killing each other because of their beliefs or for their money? What's the need to produce weapons to kill other people while others are starving in Africa and India and elsewhere, instead of helping each other? You know, with the budget of the United States, the Army of the United States, yearly budget, with 7 years of that amount, the entire humanity can live without working, and everybody will have a roof and everybody will have food. It will be much more normal and much more pleasant to live in a world like that instead of living in a world that one is conquering another country, one is shooting on another one, and we are destroying our planet as well.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, when you put the perspective on that, that is painfully true. That 10 years of black budget money would definitely take care of a lot of problems in this world, and we kind of just throw it away. So let me ask you this.
And this is what, excuse me.
Yeah.
And this is what the Raelian movement and the Raelian philosophy is about. Sorry.
Yes.
Caring about each other, that one day money will be abolished. People will have no need to work, or robots will do the job. It will be like a paradigm, which means we gonna have only to care and love each other without any need for money or any need for food.
I like the message of,
Sorry.
the peace. No, you're fine. The peace and love aspect of this, and that feeling that comes, that's the outlook for the Raelian movement, for the rest of humanity, and the Elohim for us. So I really align with that part of it for sure. Now I have to ask you this, because we are definitely on a self-destructive path for sure. If we don't do something different, then we will end ourselves. And if we are, creations of the Elohim, are we the only ones? Have they done this on other planets?
They have created in 3 other planets. Some, it's explained in the book, some have blossomed, some others have died or not, they didn't succeed. And there is another extraterrestrial civilization, which you will find inside the book, almost at the end, in the book Welcome Extraterrestrial, because there are 3 books in this one, in the Intelligent Design book. There are 3 books on that one. There are three parts. In that one, it is explained that another extraterrestrial civilization they have created, they don't want to interfere or give them any message. One day they will come to us, and we are the ones that need to handle them a message. I don't know for what reason they do that, but we have been chosen by them to convey this message to humanity, because we are living in a time that this revelation must be given to humanity.
Okay, and then the leader of the movement, Rael, who is still alive, I assume.
Absolutely, and he's living in Japan.
Okay,
he's 78, and last year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the first message he received on December 13, 1973.
Now I have to ask this question, and I'm sure, being that you've been within the movements since the late 80s, I'm sure you've heard it all as far as criticism and things of the movement. And, and I'll just say it because we talked earlier about the symbol and then the controversy behind that. But then there's also been, people have at some point labeled the Raelian movement as like a UFO cult. I when I asked around before I started researching and looking into it, that was one of the first responses that I got. How do you, when you hear something like that, how do you address like something that you would consider a misconception or a criticism of the Raelian movement? How would you speak to it?
Mr. Gee, it was, people have different opinions, and what they doesn't come into the knowledge, or because it doesn't come into the religion or their belief, they call it a cult. If we go far away, Christianity, how it begins at the time of Jesus. After he died, he was a Jew, and he never came here to change one iota, as he mentioned, from the original Hebrew Bible. He came here to explain the same message Rael is giving today. Now, when the Christianity started, it was a cult of a Jewish people, of the Jewish religion. What's the difference between a cult and a religion? It's only the number of members. When you reach a couple of millions of people that are in the same cult, call it like that, it becomes a religion.
And since we're in this subject, I would like to know, because and maybe I have this misunderstood, but there is, from what I understand, there's like a hierarchy within the Raelian movement. And so you have a person at the top, which would be your spiritual leader, which would be Rael.
Absolutely.
Now, when looking into this, it sounded like he would be the only one to contact the Elohim. Is that because when you look at everything else, you look at other religions, I guess, whether you call it God or whatever it is the person at the top, right? Usually members under that religion have the ability to contact that source on their own, right? And in this case, it would be, contact funneled through one person. How is there ever a moment where someone within this movement has the ability, since it's this would be something obviously I think done through consciousness? Would there ever be a moment where just a member of the Raelian movement could on their own contact the Elohim and get messages, or is it only going to be through Rael?
In our time, the man that was contacted by the Elohim was Rael, and this is why they give him the name of Rael, which is the light of the Elohim and the son of the Elohim, or whatever it is that is. What this means is the meaning, the basic and the roots of the word Israel. Why Israel? Because they want to have, first of all, the Jewish people were the offspring, direct offspring of these extraterrestrial women of the earth. This is why they had Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and many others. And sometimes women who were sterile had contact with these extraterrestrials, and then they had some prophets like Samuel, Eli, the prophet, Elijah, the prophet, and many others, Samson, and many others. And, there are many of them. Now, the thing is that Rael is their messenger. It doesn't mean one member of the movement will be in contact with the Elohim. Let me explain a little bit further. At the time of Moses, it was only one person who had contact with the Elohim. It was not with the God, it was with the Elohim. And when Moses saw the bush that was on fire, it was not fire. For a primitive, a beam that was red on a bush, for him it was fire. But this was just a beam from a vessel, and this is why the bush didn't burn. At the time of Jesus, He was the only messenger of the Elohim. There is only one messenger when they want to convey a message. Why there is only one messenger? Because if they give messenger to many people, according to their understanding or according to what they want to do, it could be distorted. This is why they choose one person, and then they took them to their planet, all of them, because when Moses was 40 days apparently on Mount Sinai, he was not there for 40 days and 40 nights. They took him to their planet, and I have proofs of that in the original Hebrew text. When Jesus was in the desert for 40 days as well, they took him to their planet. When Muhammad traveled from Mecca to Jerusalem, and then he fly with El Borak to the skies, to the seventh heaven, he was also in their planet. And Rael was on their planet in 1975. They took him to their planet to explain him how they live and the way to make him understand. And then he went, they took him, they brought him back. And he is, as I mentioned, he is their last messenger. And he is the one that is, the Jewish people are waiting for, the Messiah. And he's the one that should build a third temple to welcome back the Elohim.
When we get in, you talked about Jesus there. We talked earlier for a moment about, if essentially this was the Raelian movement was about, pointing out misinterpretations of biblical works. And you have some stories that are important to a lot of people around the world, like the story of Jesus and how Jesus came to be, the Virgin Mary, the crucifixion, the resurrection. How does that story, if you could explain how that story would have been misinterpreted in accordance to the Raelian movement?
Well, if you take Mary, that was supposedly virgin, what happened? She was, because Jesus was the son of one of these, the most important of these Elohim called Yahweh, and the woman of the earth. And this woman was certainly, if she was a virgin, it means she was inseminated artificially. It's like the same, I'm giving a lecture very soon, in another 2-3 weeks, on who was Isaac. Was he the son of Abraham, or was he the son of Yahweh Elohim? Why I'm bringing up this? Because Sarah, the wife of Abraham, was 90-something, and she was sterile. She never had children. Then the Elohim came and met with Abraham. There were 3 of them. And then Yahweh Elohim talked to Sarah somewhere. When in the Hebrew Bible, they say, he talks to someone or she went with, it means they sleep together. I don't mean he sleep with her, but she was also probably inseminated artificially. And Isaac was most probably not the son of Yahweh instead of being the son of Abraham. And the other son that Abraham had, what was Ismail, where the Muslims come from, he was the one that maybe they want him to sacrifice, and this is why they have the festivity of the sheep, that they kill a sheep and slaughter a sheep, and they eat it and all that in souvenir of the time of Abraham.
So I'm one that looks, I consider I was raised within a religion of Christianity. I didn't really get heavy into it. I didn't, completely read the Bible. But I can say that there are some things that we point to that when I look at the Bible, I think of it as metaphors, a lot of the stories there and a lot of the lessons that are there to learn. you know, there are other stories within the Bible, and I know you talked to this because I've actually tuned into something when you did, where you talk about the ark, Noah's Ark potentially being a spaceship. And that's kind of one of the things that I've always said. You know, I've never really prior to this, research, I didn't know about the Raelian movement, and I didn't know about that perspective or viewpoint from within. But it is something that I can align with and maybe agree with. And I guess we can talk. I guess if you can give me a quick little verbiage on that real quick. We got about 30 seconds before we go to break, and we'll
Sure.
continue the other half of the break.
Sure. The ark, the biggest ship on earth today, is not able to carry so many animals because they were 2 of each and sometimes 7 of each. With all their food and all that, it was impossible. So what happened? The ark, it was not an ark because in Hebrew it says the spaceship, not the spaceship, they say in Hebrew the box. The box was above earth and not floating on the water. And this, what was this famous box that they call it a box? It was a spaceship where Noah was there with his family, and the Elohim, they put him on a spaceship to be above. Yes.
Hold right there, Rabbi. Let's continue this on the other side of the break.
Yeah, sure.
As we go ahead and get ready to go into our final break with our guests here, Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul. Been interesting conversation. Definitely a lot of information being given. Hope that you're tuned in and locked in. We will be right back with the After Hours Radio Show on Spaced Out Radio right after this break. You don't go anywhere. All right, guys. I'll put them in the back for a second as we make sure we get our questions together. I have a few of them, Miss Captain Jones. I do see yours as well, and I marked a couple earlier. But if you wouldn't mind making sure that we go ahead and get some good questions lined up for our guest here, and we will be asking those right here in the last 30 minutes of this interview. It's been epic so far, and we'll be getting right back into it in just a moment. Joe Monk. I think it's the first time I've seen you tonight, Joe Monk. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's see. Who else? Banshee. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And let's see. Anyone else new dropped in? W33. Definitely see you here. Let's see. Okay. I'll ask that question for you, W. Let me see if there is any other questions that I might have missed. Let me go back a little bit here. Okay. All right. Looks like we are good to go. Bring our guest back up here. And it's been awesome so far, Rabbi. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate this.
And pleasure, Mr. Gear.
And we will be posing some questions to you from the audience here shortly. And let me see here.
The broadcast will be on your website afterward, right? When you
yeah, it'll be available immediately as soon as we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll play on it'll be on all streaming platforms as well. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so all those platforms. And yeah. So it'll be ready right away.
Right.
Okay. All right. Got about 2.5 minutes here. Yep. Joe Monk has the right idea. Please put your questions for Rob in capital letters. He doesn't see so well, which is definitely why I'm wearing these things, because not just for style, I definitely can't see. And yeah, it's just what it is. Let's see. Emperor Penguin, appreciate you stepping on in. I see you in the studio as well. In the studio, thanks for coming on in. Let's see. And I know you guys have awesome questions every single night, so I'll make sure that that we'll get those posed. Haha. In the studio. Hello, Rob G. I also don't like hockey. Bravo. Round of applause for but I just attended the open skate for Buffalo Sabres. It was pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah, that Rabbi, that's a running thing that I have with the owner of the platform here. He's BC and he's just a hockey fanatic. And every chance I get, I like to cut him down and tell him why hockey isn't a sport at all. So, yeah, it's pretty funny. And yes, let's see. Yes, I agree, Aloha Dave. This is a really interesting show tonight, and I knew it would be. Looked into the Rabbi, and he's done other great shows as well. And yeah, in the studio, just don't tell Dave. Well, hopefully Dave's watching tonight, and maybe he already knows. But if not, I will definitely let him know in the studio. So don't worry about that, as we got about 30 seconds to go here before we come back. All right, 10 seconds. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. After hour number 1.5. It's still the second hour, essentially. The last 30 minutes with our guest here, the Rabbi, Chief Rabbi Ariel Mellul, with the Raelian movement. Any questions, we're going to ask those right here in the next 30 minutes of the show. Make sure you get them in. If you missed any of the awesome content so far, archives, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. All right, jumping back into the conversation, Rabbi, you were actually talking about at the end of the break about how the Noah story is depicted from the Raelian point of view. And I told you I agree with the notion that it sounds more likely that an ark with two of every animal is going to be something bigger than just a boat, and likely it sounds like a story of maybe us being seated on this planet via spaceship. So you were kind of going into talking about the perspective from the Raelian side of this, and if you wouldn't mind going ahead and continuing.
Well, in our book, Intelligent Design, that you can download for free on our website, rael.org, it's explained very clearly how the Elohim proceed with Noah to save him from the flood. And in order to save all these animals and recreate them back, they didn't put all the animals inside, because even the biggest and the largest ship on earth today is not able to carry so many animals that they were, according to the Bible, they were two of each. and sometimes 7 of those were kosher, etc., etc. Imagine all the food, all the animals, how can they survive together? I mean, it's impossible. So what the Elohim did before putting him above Earth on a spaceship, they took a little box like that. They took one cell from each animal. They can fill it in a small box, and then they put him above Earth during the days that there was a flood. And then when they took him back to Earth after the flood, when it was dry, they have their laboratories, and they created all the animals. They reproduced all the animals again. It was exactly like that, and it's explained very clearly in the book.
Okay, and I wanted to also get into okay, so the Elohim, not gods, these are extraterrestrials, and with the current activity that we have here, we have reports of spaceships here all the time, UFOs. We have abduction scenarios with beings called the Greys, and there's these reptilians, and there's all these different species of extraterrestrial that have been reported by experiencers. So how do they relate and interact with Elohim?
I don't know how they're related with Mr. Guy. I know there are, as I mentioned, if we are in an infinite universe, there may be billions of planets, where are billions of galaxies and universe and solar system, where there are billions of extraterrestrial civilizations. Definitely. And there are different forms, and maybe some could have maybe 8 eyes or 4 legs, or I don't know how they look like. What is the relation with the Elohim? I have no idea. I know the Elohim have reached a level that they can be in contact with other extraterrestrial civilization, mostly pacifist. Because if we don't become pacifists, this is the law of the universe, we automatically will auto-destroy ourselves. When we reach a certain level, either we become pacifist and non-violent, or we auto-destroy ourselves. This is the law of the universe. It's the law of infinity.
Okay, and are the Elohim here? Is because we just talked about being visited by other species. Are they back and forth to this planet, or are they back on their planet, or how does that work?
According to the messages the Elohim give to Rael, they can appear just like that anytime. Now, why do they want an embassy or the third temple to come over? Because they're not invaders. They want to come and be invited. Because for them, they created us, and we are like their children for them. It's their garden, they created it. And they made all the plants or the flowers or the fruits for us. They created all the animals, and they created us to their image, as I mentioned before, and that is written in the Bible. The thing is that, they don't want to look like invaders. They want to be invited. And to be invited, we need, first of all, to understand who they are. They're not invaders. They're not superior beings. They are our creators. They want to be welcomed with respect and love, like our fathers from space, because they are our fathers from space. They don't want to, they send an F-16 after them to start shooting at them, because, they can go much higher than the speed of light, and no missiles can reach them, but they don't want their children, because of their ignorance, to shoot at them. And they don't want either that someone will go into their embassy when they will arrive, when we will build this embassy. They don't want someone that will enter the embassy without their permission. they want to be protected. And why we call it embassy? Because these embassies worldwide have an extraterritoriality status, which means if the Russian embassy in Washington, no American or government or army or police can go there without being invited. It's like their territory. And for the Elohim, we want this extraterritoriality status to be given by a government that will welcome this extraterrestrial civilization, knowing they are pacifists. But before, we need to understand they created us, and they're not a god, and they're human beings like us that have reached a certain advanced civilization and a certain knowledge of technology and science, which is above us 25,000 years.
Okay, and we have a handful of questions here from the audience, and you were actually just talking about the embassy, so I'll bring this question up first. It's from our Hour 3 guy, Drew Banky. He wants to know, where is the embassy supposed to be?
Well, according to the message, the first message Rael received, the message is what the embassy should be built close to Jerusalem. Now, since the Israeli government refused 7 times, because the Jewish religion is very powerful and they don't want to understand that the Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization, because it's monotheism. It's like the idea of a single God, which is totally false, because the original Hebrew Bible never talked about a God. It was just a misinterpretation, and it was more convenient for them to have a single God that will punish people and this and that, which is all bullshit. Now, what they want to have this embassy close to Jerusalem, but because Israel refused 7 times, they asked Rael to make other requests to any country that will be able to welcome them and that are willing to welcome them, to give a piece of land with an extraterritoriality status to build this embassy and welcome them. Now, they mentioned to Rael also that when a country will accept to give extraterritoriality and have this embassy built on their land, a large chance will be given back to Israel again, because Israel is the only religion that have it in their scripts. And it's amazing. Well, amazing. It's very sad, because instead of understanding, they fighting what we are bringing. They don't want to open their eyes. And as Yahweh, maybe you have heard of it, he have said, my people are the people with a stiff neck, because the Jewish people have been punished many times and have suffered diaspora from their country. They were expelled from their country many times. And this will happen again if they don't bend their hand and understand.
All right. And let me ask you this. Miss Catherine Jones would want to know, who was the fallen angels? Are they well?
Very interesting question. These are called in the Bible Nephilim. Nephilim is the one that the word nafol in Hebrew is those who fall down from primitives. Well, when they saw these people coming down, they were falling down from the skies for them. Now, in Hebrew, when you talk to rabbis or someone and you tell them, who are the Nephilim? And they tell you, oh, these are giants. But giant in Hebrew is Anakim. Nephilim are those who fall down from the skies. I mean, they didn't fall down. It was misinterpreted, or they didn't know how to explain that these people were coming from the skies, and they thought, like, they fall down. So it was their interpretation according to their knowledge and their lack of knowledge and the primitiveness.
Okay, great. And Carl Bittner's a good question here. What does the rabbi think of the soul, the afterlife, and reincarnation?
A very interesting question. According to the Elohim, we have a genetic code which is very specific to each and every one of us. There is no soul. What we call soul, it's the word anima in Latin, which means what animate us. What animate us is our DNA, our energy. And this doesn't flow after we're dead. It doesn't flow to the skies and didn't reach somewhere in a cloud with a God and all that. It's like, a scenario.
All right. And Mike Jones wanted to know, and I think you've made the pronunciation, but if you could, he's asking, can you ask the rabbi the proper pronunciation of God's holy name, if you don't mind? He believes it to be Yahuwah.
Well, it's in Hebrew, it's Yod He Vav He, which means Ihye Hove Vehaya, which means in Hebrew, he was, he is, and he will be. Why he was, he is, and he will be? Because the Elohim have reached a level of eternal life. Let me explain a little bit what is it. Today, we can understand that when we buy a new computer, we can download the memory from our computer, our old computer, into the new one. The Elohim, they live between 700 and 1,000 years. They have this longevity. After between 700 and 1,000 years, the body start getting old. They have, their parents are between 18 and 23 years old during these 700 to 1,000 years without any disease. But when the body gets too old, between 700 and 1,000 years, they take one cell from this human being, they put him on a machine, and by cloning, they reproduce exactly the same human being. Now, they can transfer the same way we're transferring all the information, all the data, all the memory from our old computer into the new one. The Elohim have the technology to transfer all this information from that human being with his memory, his thoughts, his everything he knew into the new body. So these people can live eternally through cloning. And this is why we're trying to reach cloning. And this, as I mentioned, governments forbid cloning because for them, it will be a mess. If there is someone in laboratory that creates another human being, there is no more place for God. So imagine the big revolution that will be for all the religions, that they will tell them, there is no God. There is one man that creates another one. But anyways, they will not be able to avoid it because the Elohim have created us. And as we are a chain of creation of life, we are going to create other people as well. And the mystery of God will be over. And soon, very soon, we will be able to understand that.
All right.
Because we will have no other solution. Science is progressing, technology is progressing, and we are getting there no matter what. And nobody could oppose that.
Okay, and we have a few more questions here. 4 more, it looks like. D. Cyphers asking, did the Elohim guide the 3 wise men to Jesus' birth? Was their craft the star they followed? So was the star they followed a craft?
Absolutely. That star was a spaceship that was guiding these kings or whatever to go and meet with Jesus, family or whatever, to give him whatever they need.
All right. Thomas Rock is asking, do you believe there was no life on Earth before 25,000 years ago?
No, absolutely. No, there was life. Well, let me explain. Before the Elohim arrived, on planet Earth existed all the time. it was covered with water when the Elohim came, and by explosions, they made one continent, and all the water was on one side, and it was one continent only. But before the Elohim created life on planet Earth, definitely other extraterrestrial civilization most certainly have created life on planet Earth. And this is why we find fossils that have thousands of years and millions of years, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Okay. Fire, Water by Design is asking, did they fall down or descend from the higher realms to 3D?
I didn't understand the question, sorry.
Did they fall down or descend from the higher realms to 3D? So I think you were talking about the fallen. Was that the Nephilim?
Well, the primitive people that described them, they mentioned they were falling down because they didn't know how these people were coming from the sky. They didn't know that there were other planets. They didn't know. So from them, it was a blue sky and clouds, and these people were coming down. So they said they were coming from they were falling down, but they didn't understand they could come from another planet. They didn't know there were other planets. They thought the planet Earth was flat.
All right. And the last question here for the night would be, when will the Elohim arrive? I know you said it earlier, but
I hope they will arrive tomorrow. But they will arrive in the embassy we're going to build for them between 2025, this year, and 2035. We're getting there. But before, we have to be more human, to develop our love and our caring and sharing for each other instead of fighting each other, because they don't want to come into a planet that their children are killing each other.
Wow. So
we need to be ready to welcome them, and we need to deserve to welcome them.
So they're coming regardless, and regardless on where our vibration lies at that time. So even if we're still as war-minded as we are right now, they still will arrive at some point. And then once they're here, they will assist in guiding us. What steps would they take? Like, you may not know the answer to this, but what steps, do you think in your eyes would be taken once they got here to correct this mess that we have here on Earth?
Well, listen, they want us to clean our own mess, because they didn't make the mess. We made it. I mean, they brought us here. They created us to have pleasure on earth and to care about each other and to love each other. And this is in the Ten Commandments. You shall not kill. And today people are killing each other. They're killing. Some people are fighting for parking space. Sometimes they shoot at each other for the parking space. Some people are killing their own wives.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we dare calling ourselves humanity when we behave not like animals, worse? Because animals, they don't behave like that. Animals, they kill to eat, and we kill for pleasure.
Wow.
For money, for producing weapons, for greed. That's all.
It's pretty
this is
powerful.
why we need to make our level of consciousness much, much higher until we reach a peace of mind, a peace inside ourselves, and we care and share with other people and love each other, because we are all one. The entire humanity is one. The entire universe is one. When you see the neurons in our brain, is exactly when you see the space. Exactly the same. It's a universe.
I'm on board with you. We are all one. That's totally agreed upon. And the standing off or not being hands-on with humanity aspect is a theme that you also hear around ufology, that other people have gotten messages from other extraterrestrial groups that have literally said the same thing, that they're watching, but they want us to kind of raise our vibrations ourselves and discover ourselves and make it there before they step in. So awesome conversation tonight. Very great information as well. I do appreciate getting this perspective that you have, and I'm glad that you were here to explain the Raelian movement. And since we've done this icebreaker conversation, I would love to have you back again so we could kind of further the dialogue, which I think will even be more epic. As we have about 45 more seconds, could you tell everybody where they could find you?
Well, listen, to find me, you can go on our website, rael.org. You have all the information. And my email address, you have it. It's l.mel@rael.org. You can reach me there if you have any questions. It will be either through you or directly to me with great pleasure.
Awesome stuff, Rabbi. Once again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on, clarifying. Thanks for answering even some tough questions here tonight. It's appreciated, and I think overall the impact will be awesome and great. Outside of that, Rabbi, you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for coming on to Spaced Out Radio, and I will be talking to you very soon.
Thank you, very much, Mr. Gay, for giving me the opportunity and the honor to be on your show.
All right. Have a great rest of your night. Take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. That was an awesome conversation with the Rabbi, Leon Ariel Mellul. We're going to go ahead and jump into our next break. We get ready to come back for hour number 3. You guys don't go anywhere. Right here on Spaced Out Radio.
With Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
Yes. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 3. As we get ready to jump into some really good stuff this hour. Steve Stockton tells untold missing person mysteries, plus some Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up and UFO and weird news. As we got about 15 seconds left before we come back. Guys, get ready. Here we go. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, after hour number 3, the third and final hour of the show, right here with your host, Mr. Rob G. It has been awesome. We want to thank, again, our guest today, Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul. Very great information. Appreciate it. If you missed any of it, hop in the archive, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. A plethora of options you'll find there. As we get ready to jump into some of Steve Stockton tells untold missing person mysteries. Here we go.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. However, most state that these creatures are master manipulators. And should you come across them, never, under any circumstances, enter into any kind of deal or arrangement with them. Again, they are considered to be master manipulators and also masters of language, and can find loopholes and use linguistic trickery to fool you into dealing with them for you to only too late realize you don't stand a chance at getting what you want or supposed to get, and yet the Fae get everything they're supposed to out of the deal. They will always benefit, mostly at the detriment of the other person. As they say in Vegas, the house always wins. Here are a few rules of engagement when it comes to these mystical beings. Never insult them and always be polite. Try your very best not to anger them, as this is how most people end up disappearing. If you ever get the feeling you're being watched by something invisible or get a sudden feeling you're not supposed to be where you are, turn around and leave immediately. Now, they do love presents and gifts. However, choose what you leave for them very carefully, as if whatever it is isn't sweet, your positive gesture can quickly turn into a negative experience. Think hard candy or other sugary sweets. Also, never use the words thank you or I'm sorry. For some reason, it is only acceptable to state pardon me and I appreciate that. The fairies have been known to sometimes speak in riddles, and there's almost always some kind of hidden meaning underneath what they're saying, so pay close attention and listen carefully. For instance, as one commenter on another video pointed out, I'm sorry admits fault, while pardon me simply asks for forgiveness. Also, thank you will put you in their debt, whereas I appreciate that simply expresses gratitude. Now, what do you think of all these encounters? Every culture since time immemorial has had these stories of the Fae or the fairy folk, including the Native Americans in Appalachia, where I'm from. Do you believe these people exist? Do you believe that they are who cause people to disappear in the woods and forests and never to return? It seems lately that with all the craziness happening in the world, it's becoming easier and easier to forget about all the things that could be even worse going on in the world around us that we can't see. It seems like every time we turn on the television, there's just more and more destruction and chaos. And it gets me wondering, is this what they want? Is this all a very carefully carried out plan to take the focus away from the world of the unknown, to make sure we don't get too close to figuring out the truth about what really goes on behind the scenes? The things the powerful elite and possible government entities who we are indoctrinated to trust since the time we learned to talk don't want us to see? What is it they're trying to distract us from? Well, what we're going to focus on today is a continuation in the bizarre disappearances in the woods. After all, the families of the missing can never be distracted into forgetting that their loved one was here one minute and poof, gone the next. In researching the Fae and the connection with those who vanish, I have a feeling inside that I came so very close to touching on something, to lifting or at least thinning out the veil that separates the actual truth from the reality we're taught to believe. After all, if you're subscribed to this channel and interested in this title, it stands to reason that you, too, are wondering what exactly is lurking in the woods. In the deep, dark parts of the world's forests and national parks, something is snatching and stalking helpless humans, seemingly right out of existence. Come and take another walk with me, folks, as I explore the deepest depths of not only the reality we see right in front of us, but perhaps the hidden worlds of the unknown, in the deepest, darkest depths of our very minds. But be careful. Don't be the first or last in line. Don't go near the boulder fields. Don't pick berries. Don't wear red. And don't insult that which you're unfamiliar with. And please, whatever you do, don't turn a corner and separate from the group. Here's part 2 of The Missing and the Fae. Before we begin, let's all try and get the images out of our head of the fairies, fae folk, that we were taught about as small children. The tiny, sparkly, and happy, always trying to help and devastatingly beautiful creatures who flutter around us wildly, sometimes sprinkling us with sparkly fairy dust to help us to sleep. Well, maybe something like that, as far as the fairy dust is concerned. But I'm convinced that there is something much more sinister afoot, that these very small, usually ornery and not so helpful beings use to confuse and put humans to sleep so they can steal them away, take them from the here that is known to there, which is unknown, or the other. If only it were simple and cutesy and fun as a little sprinkle of glittery dust and poof, all our troubles go away. In reality, however, it's more like sudden confusion which causes unrelenting panic as the hapless victims of these clever little tricksters, in the blink of an eye, find themselves completely lost, completely turned around, dazed and confused as to what just happened and where they are. Sometimes days are lost, sometimes more, and sometimes the victim is gone forever, lost to whatever game the fairies decided to make them a part of. Imagine, completely helpless, alone and afraid, screaming at the top of their lungs, only to find that they have no voice. Now, these little people are not always so little. While the majority of them are said to be under 4 feet tall, most even shorter, some have been said to be as tall as 7 feet. Just like humans, the way they look varies drastically from one to the other, with all having different facial features and personalities. Let's talk about some similarities between what's going on in the woods with all the clusters of missing people all over the world and what we know about the Fae. First off, boulder fields and circles of stones in particular should never be disturbed. This is where they live and play, and you do not want to disturb their home or resting place. They don't take kindly to anything they see disrespectful, and as seemingly very sensitive little creatures, that's most anything they don't give you permission to say or do. Do not even approach such places unless you're prepared for the fate that lay ahead of you, should you dare. After all, how could you be granted permission to do anything by entities in which you can't see with your human eyes unless they should choose to allow you to look upon them, which they most often do not give? If they ever should grant you this permission to gaze upon them, be wary, for they almost always have something up their sleeves. If you do not come prepared with gifts of sweets, alcohol, and or tobacco, do not expect a very generous welcome. In fact, if you do not bring such gifts, I suggest stay away altogether, as this will anger them. And they carry such great wrath for being so very tiny in size for the most part. There seems to also be an inordinate amount of people who go missing near berry bushes. You may be struck with an unexplained need to go and fill several baskets with juicy plump black or huckle or red or blueberries. There are too many kinds to name out there in the wild. We see all the time in movies about survival in the deep woods and forests that you should always beware of eating the berries to stay alive, for they might just be poisonous and, ironically, the very thing that kills you off. However, who do you think has poisoned the berries? struck with a sudden and irresistible impulse to go and gather the fresh fruit, you're most likely lured by the Fae to your doom. They like to play, after all, and among the bushes and brambles of the berry patches is where they're known to do their dancing and mating. This is where they embrace the earth and sing with all their heart, sometimes fully visible, and most of the time at least audible to humans who are unfortunate enough to be in the general vicinity of them. If you should catch a glimpse of a dance or even a whisper of a tune, turn back, for they do not like to be disturbed. Again, they only like to be seen and heard if they choose it. If their choice should be taken away, then there will be consequences. Could this be the fate of so many who have disappeared among a berry patch in recent years? My advice? Go to your local grocer's produce section. They may not be as fresh picked, but hey, at least you won't be lost forever in the produce aisle.
Once again, awesome stuff from Steve Stockton. Tales Untold Missing Person Mysteries. Another creepy tale. And these people just go missing, and I just can't. And if you look at the statistic, once again, I know for sure, I think it's at least 800,000 people going missing in the United States alone. Yeah, insane. Thanks, Steve Stockton, for being a part of the After Hours radio show. We appreciate you, sir, as we go ahead and get ready to jump on in to the After Hours wrap up with our guy. You already know who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Drew Banky.
Jordan, you're a name of a monster!
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Kick him in the north! Kick him in the north! Do it! That man's got narc! You're a monster!
Yes. The After Hours wrap up with the guy right here, Drew Banky. Drew Banky, another awesome show today. We touched something we haven't really ever touched here on this program as of yet. We were both looking forward to this conversation taking place. It has now happened, transpired. Now we're at the wrap up. How are you doing, and what did you think about what was said today?
I'm on the verge of sickness still, personally, but man, what a guest. I'm glad that I was weighing whether I was even going to be able to come out today, but I looked at a little bit of his stuff beforehand, and yeah, I was like, man, I have to listen to this. And I'm glad I did, because there's so much that, like, I don't know if I've ever described like how I view consciousness and how my theories on the cells, like we're all cells of the creator, and like we make up the consciousness of the creation. So it's just really interesting, just different things, like were like verbatim things that I would say how describe certain things and articulate certain things. So it's very interesting. Some of the things I didn't like quite agree with, the bottlenecking of being in contact kind of threw me off a little bit, but he wasn't talking about like in the same token, he was saying that we're all equal, which I really vibe with. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. I'm not ready to convert or anything, but I definitely support whatever that group is doing. It sounds like they're on the right track on a lot of things.
Yeah, Drew, and I can agree with you on that. There's definitely, whenever there's, just for starters, base level, caring about humanity, caring about each other, shooting for peace and love instead of war, and all of the things that are destroying this planet as we know it. Those are all noble causes, and they're definitely a good starting point. Yes, I will agree. There's definitely some parts of the religion that, and I guess maybe it's because some of it doesn't align with what we have heard, whether you're part of religion or not, whether you're religious or not, doesn't align completely with things that we have heard in relation to the creation and how things run. The infinite theory was, pretty compelling. So I did ask if that changes if one day we discover that the universe is not infinite, then does that theory or aspect change? Because, we both have talked about there being a source energy, and in this Raelian movement, apparently that doesn't apply. And I don't know if we really got that answer here tonight, but the good thing is that we'll be able to have them back so we can further the conversation. The first conversations are always, you know fleshing out the initial information, getting to know the person, talking about some of the topics. But then the second time that you get them is the time where you really get to lay it all out on the line. So I'm looking forward to the next conversation. I think we did lay the bare bones for a lot of people who've never heard of this Raelian movement, which includes myself, even though I did a deep dive and gathered a lot of data over the leading up to the show. But it's still a new concept to me. And I'm glad the guest was open to talking about some of the more controversial aspects of this, because it's been around for a while. There's a Netflix documentary out there about the Raelian movement. And at times it had been addressed as a UFO cult. So I'm glad he was willing to address that and talk about that, because I think that's, if you oppose what's being said here, that would be one of the things that you would likely lean on. And so I'm glad that was done. And yeah, I mean, religion is religion, right? When you really look at it, at the end of the day, it's a different, same pot, different cook, right? And I think that's kind of some more of what we gathered today, though a noble message behind it, and I think all around okay interview.
Yeah. No, I loved it. It was super interesting. It definitely held my attention the whole time. It was, like I said, a lot of stuff was hitting home for me. Just how he described like us moving forward, and that we have to kind of accept this oneness in a much more deeper way. Basically, what he was saying is something that echoes my statements over and over again. I truly believe like we have to move forward. We have to really accept that, like not just as an idea of oneness and interconnectedness, but we have to like live it. And I think that's the gateway and the threshold that we have to cross to be interstellar, honestly, and higher consciousness. I think I think we have to let go of that hierarchy. I think we have to let go of and we really have to embody the idea, and really like take on the religion almost of oneness or whatever, like not just of with full faith. And that's what I operate under. Like I operate under that assumption, and not just an ideal of it, but that's how I, everything that I'm around. Like, I can see like uh raising the kids. I can like the younger ones now, I can see, especially from a spiritual standpoint, of me like processing things from childhood and stuff. I can see like the bigger picture on all of it, so I can see the interconnectedness all the time. So it's proven itself to me. So and there's a lot of other people out there. So yeah, him talking about that and how we have to let go of the wars and everything eventually will stop a society from moving forward. And then I'm assuming a reset happens or whatever, until I don't think we really got into a real solid, clear answer on the reincarnation part too. I think he was, that's why, yeah, I'm really excited to have him back on to get a little more clarity on these certain things. But yeah, I think, I do think there's a, there's a common knowledge base that I'm familiar with that I can feel through what he's talking about. Like, is it skewed a little bit? I don't know, but that's not for me to decide. But this just the things that I see that I really vibe with from that conversation.
Yeah, he did touch as far as on the reincarnation piece. I think he spoke to it when he talked about the taking the cell and then cloning and then becoming infinite, or living forever essentially through that method. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it wasn't totally clear, but I think that's what he used to speak to it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, there's going to be, I've done shows on cults before. I don't know if I would necessarily call what we talked about here a cult per se, because generally there's control. Usually the leader wants to keep you away from other ideas and make you dependent upon those are some of like the bare bones when you talk about what a cult is. And I didn't get that. And one of the reasons why I went into this interview, and I wanted to make sure that because of that very reason and perspective that some of the people have out there, I wanted to make sure that I didn't watch the Netflix documentary. I wanted to make sure that I didn't come in to the conversation with any biases, to allow the speaker to lay it out and not have any misinformation. This is the information that was provided, was the information as given from Rabbi Leon Mellul, and there was no spin on it, and you can process it however you would like to process it at the end of the day. But when you look at religion, some people are not religious at all. Some people are religious and just totally disagree with other religions because of the different perspectives that they have about certain stories within the Bible. And I just thought it was interesting to hear what this group, how they perceived the stories that have been told historically as well, right? Just another look at it. Doesn't mean you need to go be a part of it or that you need to agree with it, but it's another perspective out there, along with all the other ones that we've had from the religions that have been around, some for short periods of time, some for thousands of years, millennia. So it's okay at the end of the day. I don't think the information was delivered in a way to sway a person one way or the other. It was just information delivered as it pertained to the Raelian movement. And hey, I'm okay with that at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of the whole thing was very, very positive. I didn't see anything that would have been considered, brainwashing or anything like that. And we got to look at looking back on the word cult, like that comes from culture, the word culture. Like that's where the word cult comes from. It's offset from the word culture. So just a variation, just a little bit different, can mean so much connotation. Like the cult, what's it mean to you? Does it mean someone controlling, someone brainwashing, someone diabolical? Obviously, if they're calling you to the, up to the pavilion to drink the tea, you don't want to go that far. But if it's about consciousness expansion and stuff like there's a lot of things that we do around here that can be considered a cult to some people, but we're so I don't know. We just have to look at ourselves, and lots of times judgments actually coming from inside.
And once again, I'm not here to say if it's a cult or not. I'm just here to conduct the interview, have the conversation, and leave it up for the audience to decide how they feel about it. And I'm just really glad that he did address it, because it was something that needed to be brought up. Once again, tough conversations being had right here on the After Hours Radio Show, because that's how you move the needle. As we get ready to go into our last and final break of the night, right here on the After Hours Radio Show. It's been a great one, guys. If you missed it, I'm telling you, jump in the archives. You missed a good one if you did. We're going to be back right after this break. Don't go anywhere. The After Hours Radio Show, Mr. Rob G, that's Drew Banky. We'll be right back. All right, we are clear. Yeah. Good one. And I feel good about it. Just conversations have to get out there. It's information, and do with the information what you will.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. It's I thought it was very interesting, man. It was very interesting. We've had, and this is what it's about. It's about expanding, and like having more conversations other than, the rotation of UFOs and Bigfoot and, tarot readings and then repeat, like we have to step out of that, whether it be, someone that does horror films and stuff like that. Different episodes are going to have, it's going to go up and down. It's going to hit different ears, different minds, and it's going to spark different thoughts. And that's what it's about. So
if I could play it, where it's not on here, is it? Let me see. Are we on break so I can play this? Hold on. Let me see.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out
freaking
Radio.
Place, man.
You tune your dial to the right frequency.
Nowhere else can you own the night.
And that's what it's all about. Conversations that move the needle. If they don't move the needle, what are we having them for? What are we doing if we're not trying to learn or, take in perspectives or move the needle? Or when we reconvene again, we should be further ahead than we were last time we talked, right? And that's kind of what we need to make sure we're doing here. So awesome stuff. I love it. We have, I know Pierre in the chat had mentioned Reverend Michael Carter, and we have him set up to come in on the 2nd of February. So you already know that's going to be another awesome conversation. Once again, got to make sure that you're here for that. And we're trying to set up a lot more big things as well. Some more compelling conversations.
Cat Williams, come on, man.
Yeah, Cat Williams. Oh my gosh! So we can.
We need Cat Williams. Come on. He's got an interesting mind, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you sit down and you get to pick the minds of individuals like that and ask questions that they may not normally get asked, and get those, the clarifying responses and things of that nature. Yeah. That's what I love, man. And I'll be, I try not to watch these shows back, although I do occasionally. This will definitely be one of those that I do watch back to kind of see how it's set. It's kind of hard when you're in the moment asking the questions to really be the viewer and sit back and soak it all in. So I'll get to do that later on tonight, maybe. Miss Catherine said, Drew, invite him. I bet he would come. I hope he would, man. That would be awesome.
Right now. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, there you go. Put it out there. Manifest that thing. Put that out there in the universe.
Well, just let's have this conversation. Like, he's probably in the chat, like has a fake account or something like that. You just never know. Like,
you never know.
I don't even know where that come from. Like, I haven't been not thinking about that dude or like watching any. I haven't seen anything recently, but I don't know. Watch.
You always. That's the thing with YouTube, because it's a global platform. You could have 10 people in the audience, and you don't know, one of those 10 could be someone very impactful, or even on the flip side, it could be someone that really needed to hear what you were talking about that day. And
that's most important.
Even if one person were to show up, it's like Yeah, that's kind of why we do this thing here. Let's
That
see, SG Knife Spotter. All things equal to 10 equal unsolved mysterious you cannot identify. Okay. Appreciate you, SG Nav Spotter, for coming in. I didn't see you earlier. Miss Catherine says, Cat says everything will be revealed in 2025.
what?
And you know what? Cat Williams has been right. Last year he was right. He was right about a lot of stuff. In 2025, it seems to be opening up, especially with the things we've had happen so far. It might shape up. Cat might be right about 2025 as well. So we got about 15 seconds left before we come back from radio break and get to the end of the show. This has been a great show. It's gone pretty fast, and I'm happy with it. And here we go. 5 seconds till we come back. 3, 2, 1. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. Me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the guy next to me right there, Drew Bakey, with the After Hours wrap up, having a great conversation, breaking down the great conversation that was just had, hours 1 and 2, with Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul. If you missed it, I always say this, but it's true. You can access the archives absolutely free. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. As we go ahead and get back into this conversation. Yes, so everything was, it was easy peasy. Everything was great. Great guest. I didn't get to ask about some of the more current stuff that have been happening. And that's usually how it goes with the first interview, because you're breaking down all the other data. But can't wait to have him back. It should be interesting to be able to kind of now bridge off of all that and get into all the other things that you may want to know as far as that goes. And we're open to all sorts of guests as well. So we would love to know who you would like to see. Make sure that you go to our Facebook page, or you can put it in the comment section on this video. Who would you like to see on this show? Have a conversation, sit down in the seat, and we'll make sure that we reach out and attempt to get those guests for you. So, Drew, has anything transpired or progressed since yesterday with the whole egg thing? Has your perspective shifted? Have you heard anything new?
I've seen some pictures and some videos of different things that it could have been, and completely man-made. There's several things that it could have been, like there's talking about a reserve tank on a weather balloon, and there's pictures of that, and it's so close that it could have been. The one thing that's weird about it, like after breaking it down, I did rewatch the interview and everything, and and just keyed in on certain points that I kind of overlooked on the first time, and this wasn't something he witnessed. This is a video that he got from someone else. Like, he didn't have the was it Barker? What's his name? Barker?
Jake Barber.
Barber. Okay, yeah. So Barber, he didn't get that video. He got that video from someone else. That wasn't his video. That was shared with the egg. So it's just, I don't know. And it didn't.
Whose video was it?
I don't know. It was someone else was the pilot and all that. It was from someone else's craft. That was not his. That wasn't his thing.
Okay. We'll have to look further into that, because it was sure presented like that. I would assume that Ross would make that clear in that presentation. Maybe he did, and maybe I missed it. So I haven't had a chance to rewatch it. It's literally I just haven't had the time preparing for the show today.
Yeah, there's just a couple things that it could have been like, and just like all the posts out there, the hype that was put around it, it was kind of put out like this this video and this interview is going to change the face of humanity, and it didn't do anything close to that. Like, because it's just a thing, a egg looking thing on the end of on the end of a cable. It was a good video, but I mean, it didn't show us anything. It didn't show us really anything. So it kind of presented more questions and answers and all that stuff, and there is some reports that I've been seeing that started happening right around the time. So going back to TikTok closed down, and actually closed down hours earlier than what it was supposed to yesterday evening. And right around that same time, there was people trying to post videos about this event that was happening out in the Gulf of Mexico, some type of mothership event or whatever. I just started seeing some posts and seeing a few videos of it today. I haven't got too much into it, so it's not vetted or anything, but it is something that's being talked about a lot in the realm. So I thought I should bring it up. But yeah, and then the inauguration being moved inside. Anyone that has any eyes open at all can see that there's some type of threat that they're not telling us about. That's why the inauguration moved inside. It wasn't because it's not definitely not because of weather, at least from my personal point of view. The way I see it and everything, there's no way to be because of weather. The weather is supposed to be the same as it's been through several inaugurations in the past when they've done it outside. And the drones, and it goes back to that post that I made on January 2nd, the day before the news broke of the connection between the dude in Vegas with the Trump hotel thing with the Tesla truck, and the drones, the connection back to the drones being a special forces guy involved in a UFO program, advanced engineering and recovery or whatever. I can't remember everything that was in the email, but it was all that kind of stuff. And now we have this whistleblower coming out saying he was special forces and then trained to be this to do special contracting and everything. And I think he didn't get to be a pilot until after he left the service and everything. But the connections are all so crazy. And in that post that I made on January 2nd, at the bottom, I said, what are we going to do January 2nd if there's still drones flying around, especially around the eastern seaboard, around Virginia and Washington, D.C.? Are we going to allow them into the airspace over Washington, D.C., these drones that nobody knows what they are and the government says they don't know what they are? And now they're moving Trump inside for the inauguration. So there's something going on. I can't put my finger on it, man. But I think I'm not the only one that feels it. What's your thoughts, man?
I don't know. I would say this. I mean, I think it'd pretty much be the obvious move to take an extra step to move someone inside, especially with all that is going on. Just not even necessarily there being a threat. I think it just is a smart move to do it just because there's been things that have gone on, and not necessarily saying that there's something tied to this event that's coming up, that there's a plot out there, there's a plan, because I don't think anyone knows that. But I think it's just smart to do it just because of the climate. It's just been weird, random things that have been happening that have been not positive. So I think it's just a smart move to do that. And then obviously we don't know what these drones are yet. So, I think we know enough about them to say that they're not adversarial, but, hopefully the guy going in office does what he says he's going to do. And day one, I think he says he's going to go ahead and tell us what the drones were. So maybe that's the next big event that happens. Maybe by Tuesday, we'll keep our eyes open. We'll see what happens. Maybe he won't do it. Maybe he won't live up to what he said. And that's why, just only bringing that up because it's UFO related. but because obviously that's a rabbit hole that, and in this rabbit hole that you could jump down. But hopefully that's at least done. I don't know about anything else past that, but at least hopefully the drone thing gets explained, because I think that definitely needs to happen regardless on what it is, what it ends up being at the end of the day. We need to know. Someone needs to say what it is, and then we have a promise that that's going to be done. So, like I said, hopefully by Wednesday morning, we can all wake up and at least have that answer, and we can move forward.
I mean, he said within hours after the ceremony's over with, he's got a stack of paperwork to sign, and a post, a clip of not too long when I was starting to get ready to come out here and everything, a clip of him saying that tomorrow is going to be an interesting day for television. And there's rumor that he's going to sign a federal legalization on marijuana tomorrow is in the stack. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting, man. It's just a crazy time. There's a lot of people. So I have a program that I use, like a writing program, AI help writing program that helps me make some of my posts and stuff, like the wording on my posts. And I was trying to make a post about why, just questioning why the inauguration has moved inside. It's pretty clear there's some type of security threat, and the program that I was using would not let me would not let me do that. I had to like do it all by hand and stuff. But would not. It said this request is denied, and no matter what I worded, I had to like not say anything about security threat or anything like that.
Yeah, because I think it's because it comes across as conspiratorial. You'll find out that those chat GPTs and things of that nature, depending on what it is that you're trying to get them to do, they won't do it. They'll just tell you that they can't do it or for whatever reason, but you can kind of read the writing on the wall, depending on what it is you're typing in. If you sit back for a minute and be like, I wonder why they're not giving me a response on this. And then you kind of figure out why. But, and I don't know if there's some liabilities that can happen behind that. I don't know.
It's not no secret, man. Everybody that's, has half an eye open can see that there's it's not because of weather, and I'll just leave it at that, that I don't have any knowledge here nor there, but I'm just saying that the writing's on the wall, that we can see that that's not the real reason, and it's just, I don't know. It's about expectations, that they're never going to tell the truth on everything, and they're always going to hold those secrets and shit like that. Like, why can't they just say like, okay, we're moving inside because, it's probably not a good idea to have it outside. So we're just, why can't they say that?
No, you just said the SH word, and I got to edit that out, man. Thanks for the extra word, Drew Banky. Appreciate the extra work that you just gave me for tonight. That's awesome. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, as far as that goes, Trump, man, hopefully whatever happens, because like I said, it's just a firecracker issue. Topic tomorrow is going to be tumultuous day for some great, some not so great, depending on where you're at. And I'm at all that. I'm just hoping that Tuesday we get information on the drones so we can close the chapter of that, or at least add to the confirmation. And then kind of going back to the analysis of that UFO video from yesterday, the reason, and like I said then, I think that video, what's going to happen is, why I pointed to redacted shapes, is I think that visual is going to resonate with so many people, just like it did with me, because it's very similar to the objects that I spotted. So I think for a lot of other people, they're gonna, when they see that image, they're gonna be like, whoa, wait a minute, I saw that too. And that, I think that ends up being the validation for people who have never seen a shape like that. Some people have only seen saucers, some people have just seen balls of light, some people haven't seen anything that resembles that. So for them, it's like, oh well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, I don't really know, it's not really impactful. But for the people who have experienced seeing that shape object floating through the sky, those people know for sure, like, that's something that we need to be taking a look at. But as we get ready to wrap this thing up, Drew, we got a few minutes left so we can get into some weird news here. End of the weekend, Sunday, what do you want to leave the audience with until we get together next weekend?
I just hope everything's eventful tomorrow. Uneventful tomorrow. As far as everybody's safety, I hope everybody stays safe. On all accounts. This is, when you get down to it, it's just an election, that humans have. So when you look on the grand scheme of things, I just pray for safety of everybody, and safety of everybody till next Saturday night at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, when I come back on and show my face again. And I probably will be feeling better and sounding different by that time, hopefully. So,
you know it, Drew Banky. Once again, appreciate your input and participation in what we do here at the After Hours Radio Show, sir. We will talk again this week and do this thing again next weekend, sir. Talk soon.
Later.
Drew Banky, guys. Drew Banky with After Hours Wrap Up. As always, awesome stuff. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up with the cool little story, UFO news story. So let's go ahead and jump on into that.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, UFO and weird news of the week. So we have a couple stories here that we have picked out. One story has to do with book classified by CIA for more than 50 years explained how the world was going to end. Chan Thomas's writing has now been made public nearly 60 years after he first penned it. A book which kept a U.S. state secret for more than 5 decades has now been declassified by the CIA. The works of Chan Thomas, which details a shocking conspiracy theory about the planet's supposedly impending demise, has now gone public nearly 60 years after he first penned it. The late engineer, UFO researcher, and self-proclaimed polymath is the author behind the infamous book titled The Adam and Eve Story. Modern-day conspiracy theorists have continued to peddle his beliefs long after his death in 1998, and now the details of his concerning predictions have finally been laid bare. The Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, put a stop to the book's publication in 1966 for reasons that remain unknown to this day. It is thought that the intelligence service might have been concerned that Thomas's theories might have sparked mass panic, or that he may have spilled the details of secret government research. The CIA declassified parts of his book back in 2013, but kept the rest of the literature under wraps until now. Thomas, who was a former U.S. Air Force employee, according to the Daily Mail, shared his interpretations on the book of Genesis, several pre-biblical stories, and historical geological phenomena in his writings. The first chapter is titled The Next Cataclysm and begins by saying, quote, like Noah's 6,500 years ago, like Adam and Eve's 11,500 years ago, this too will come to pass. Essentially, Thomas believed that the world is rocked by a major disaster every 6,500 years, the damage of which is similar in scope to that of the biblical Great Flood. Although Noah's Ark would have come long before us, Lot were born, experts aren't exactly sure on which date he supposedly had to cram animals two by two on his vessel to escape the deluge. But Thomas insisted that his calculations were correct, using archaeological and geological evidence to support his timeline. If the American was as good at math as he claimed to be, that would suggest that the world ought to be bracing itself for another disaster of epic proportions in another 1,000 plus years or so. Thomas's pole prediction. According to Thomas, these cataclysmic events are brought on by the Earth's poles, the 2 points where the planet's axis of rotation meets the surface, switching places, which is known as geomagnetic reversal. Scientists say that this swap, which the author believed was responsible for earthquakes, tsunamis, and severe weather, could wipe out the world. Last occurred about 780,000 years ago. Quote, during the pole reversal, the magnetic field weakens, but it doesn't completely disappear, according to NASA. The magnetosphere, together with the Earth's atmosphere, continue protecting Earth from cosmic rays and charged solar particles, though there may be a small amount of particulate radiation that makes it down to Earth's surface. The magnetic field becomes jumbled, and multiple magnetic poles can emerge in unexpected places. In the Adam and Eve story, Thomas claims that the pole switch will ultimately be the downfall of human civilization and spell the end of the world. Thomas alleged that the Earth's magnetic field, which is constantly shifting and occasionally reverses polarity, will be shunted, causing chaos for Earth as we know it. In one chilling passage he wrote, in California, the mountains shake like ferns in a breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward. In a fraction of a day, all vestiges of civilization are gone, and the great cities of Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, New York are nothing but legends. Barely a stone is left where millions just walked hours before. We'll go ahead and leave it there. Sounds like an interesting book. Why would the CIA classify that? Definitely something that you guys might want to look into. If I could find the name of the book again here. Yeah. I'll post it in the notes here. But once again, great show. I want to thank our guest, Rabbi Leon Ariel Mellul, for an awesome conversation. And, I think there was definitely some good information. Take it how you want it and do with it what you will. Also want to thank Drew Banky for coming on in. Steve Stockton as well with Tales Untold, Mr. Person Mysteries. We also want to thank the guy you hear right there, Rama Mufathal, the man that rocks us out each and every weekend, teaching us to never say never again, because yes, the phenomena is real, which means anything and everything is possible. If you love what you heard today, show some support, throw your horns up, we'd appreciate it. Also, we want to thank our listeners and viewers listening from whenever and wherever in the world you may be. We appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. Once again, this show has been copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited, Spaced Out Radio. It has been a pleasure serving you. Once again, as your host, I'm Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And to all you space travelers out there, this is not a goodbye, nor a farewell. However, you can best believe, as we go ahead and go off air for the night, we will be back, same time, same place next weekend. Much love to everybody out there. Take care. Stay safe. right, we are clear. Great show, guys. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up, showing your support. As always, that's why you guys are awesome. That's why we have the most awesome chat in the game right now, and it won't change, because if you're genuine, you can feel that, and there's no fakeness going on over here. Genuine people, genuine thoughts, genuine conversation to move this needle forward, whichever way we have to have it. Tough conversations, great conversations, more of the same was had today, and we'll be doing more of that this year. 2025 is going to be an awesome year. We're shooting for the stars, and I always say, if you shoot for the moon, the worst that can happen is you'll touch the sky. That's what we're going to do this year. And if you have anyone that you guys want to see on the show, make sure that you go ahead and let me know. Anytime you do that, I'll go ahead and reach out. We get them on the show, and we'll do more of that this year. Appreciate everyone for coming on in. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great week. Dave Scott will be on tomorrow. I don't have the guest list up here, but you guys make sure you're here. Same time, 7 days a week, we do this thing right here on Spaced Out Radio. So make sure you're here for that. And outside of that, you guys all take care. I am out of here. We want retribution. You know how we shut the show down, and here we go.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.